The Madlanga Commission sat again today in Pretoria. And the picture that emerged is one of slow grinding progress mixed with the usual political foot-dragging. Proceedings opened with advocate Thandi Modise continuing her cross-examination of former police intelligence head Lieutenant General Peter Jacobs. The line of questioning zeroed in on a 2022 memorandum Jacobs claims he sent to the Minister of Police warning about irregular procurement deals worth R180 million. The document itself has still not been tabled in full. Only extracts read into the record. Jacobs stuck to his version that the memo was received and then buried. The Commission's evidence leader, Advocate Johan van der Berg, pushed back on dates and email trails, forcing Jacobs to concede that some copies might have gone missing after a server migration. It was the kind of exchange that leaves the public none the wiser but makes it clear someone, somewhere, did not want a paper trail. This session forms part of the second phase of the inquiry, which began in earnest in March this year after the initial terms of reference were widened. The Commission was formally established in late 2023, following a series of explosive affidavits from within crime intelligence alleging that senior officers were awarding contracts to companies linked to a small circle of politically connected businessmen. Phase 1 dealt with the broad structure of the alleged scheme. Phase 2 is meant to test the paper evidence and call the people who signed the checks. Today's testimony fits that pattern. Detailed but frustratingly incomplete. Earlier this month, the Commission heard from a procurement officer who described how 3 separate bids were altered after closing date to favor one supplier. That evidence was strong on process but weak on who gave the final instruction. Today's witness was meant to close that gap. He did not. Instead, the hearing spent nearly 2 hours on whether a particular email server was backed up or not. The technical detail matters for the legal record. Yet it also illustrates why these inquiries drag on. Every missing attachment becomes a new subpoena. Every subpoena another postponement. What stands out is the contrast between the Commission's mandate and the pace of actual accountability. Judge Madlanga has been firm on keeping political grandstanding out of the hearing room. And that discipline shows. Witnesses are not allowed to wander into ANC factional disputes or score points against rivals. At the same time, the Commission has no power to compel the immediate production of documents held by other state departments. When the police legal team asked for another 2 weeks to locate the missing memo, the judge granted it without much argument. That decision is defensible on fairness grounds. But it feeds the perception that the inquiry is moving at the speed of the very institutions it is meant to scrutinize. The broader timeline is worth keeping in view. The first public hearings started with dramatic claims of cash in brown envelopes and luxury vehicles registered to front companies. Those headlines grabbed attention. 6 months later, the Commission is deep in the weeds of procurement registers and email metadata. This is necessary work. Yet it risks losing the public thread. Ordinary South Africans want to know whether anyone will be charged, not whether a server was migrated in 2021. The Commission's final report is due only in MID 2025. Which leaves plenty of time for memories to fade and for implicated officials to retire or be redeployed. Today's session ended with a short exchange that captured the tension. When van der Berg asked Jacobs whether he had followed up on his own memo after receiving no reply, the general replied that, in the environment at the time, one learned not to push too hard. The room went quiet for a moment. That single sentence says more about institutional culture than any spreadsheet. It also explains why these commissions keep being appointed. The system is designed to punish persistence rather than reward it. The commission resumes tomorrow with a new witness from the Supply Chain Management Unit. The expectation is another round of missing documents and cautious answers. Nothing dramatic is likely to emerge. Yet the record is slowly being built. Whether that record eventually leads to prosecutions or simply gathers dust on a shelf remains the real question hanging over these proceedings.